Hi, we're glad you could join us for this brief tutorial on installing the open source of the assignment calculator on your own servers. My name is Geraldine.
And my name is Shane, and we're the original creators of the assignment calculator here at the University of Minnesota Libraries.
Hundreds of thousands of our students have used the calculator to get their papers and other assignments done on time, and the open source version of the tool has probably helped thousands more from schools all around the world. So you may be thinking, what makes the assignment calculator so popular? Well, a number of things. It helps students beat procrastination. The calculator sequences the steps that go into completing a paper or other assignment and gives students suggested deadlines for each of these steps. It also helps students be less confused about complex assignments because it breaks down all the expectations step by step. And the assignment calculator makes assigning a research paper easy because it takes some of the burden off the instructor to guide students through the process. Instead, the tool basically does that work. And finally, the last reason why we think the assignment calculator is so useful is because we can embed the library pathfinders, the database links, and resource recommendations right into this step. So now we know this is a very cool tool. Why not direct your students to use the version at the University of Minnesota that we made, or there's also a version created for secondary schools in Minnesota that you could direct students to. And yes, that's definitely an option, and a lot of schools do that. But let's just take a minute to look at why you might want to install your own version. First reason is you can change the name from assignment calculator to whatever you like. Other schools who've installed versions of this call their versions all different kinds of things. Like Fresno State calls it the Assignment Research Calculator, and Minneapolis Community and Technical College calls it Assignment Planner. And we know that Penn State calls it the Research Project Calculator, and there's a school in New Zealand that calls it the Assignment Planning Calculator. So you pick your name for this. You can also have your own logo, your colors, and your links. You can have your own .edu web address. And finally, you can tailor the assignments for your teachers using their steps, their time frame, and their special directions. You can really also make as many assignment types as you want, and here's an example of the assignment types at our school. You can see they range from research papers to lab reports to media projects to speeches. I mean, you name it, you can make an assignment out of it.
So let's walk through what a quick installation looks like. First though, you need to make sure you have access to these things that are listed here. You need to have access to a web server with PHP 5.1.2 or later. You need to have access to create a database on a MySQL 5.0 database. You also need the ability to run cron jobs or scheduled tasks on your web server, and the ability to send mail from PHP using the mail function of PHP. You also need to have installed on your server the Smarty 3 templating engine. If you don't have access, we can install the calculator for you though. What if you don't have a PHP program, or you don't have right access to a web server or a MySQL database? And if you may not have time to learn the back end of the calculator, well, we can do that for you. Just skip to the last slide of this presentation and contact Geraldine. Next though, you can see and you can get detailed instructions for installing the open source version of the assignment calculator here at this URL. If you wish, you can pause this video and go to the instructions and follow along there, or just sit back and watch as I walk through this. The first step in installing the assignment calculator is to download the code from SourceForge, unzip it, and then upload the code to a directory on your web server. I've already uploaded the code for this demonstration into a directory on my web server called install-calc. So from a command line, like a client like PuTTY or a terminal window, you can SSH into your web server and go to your install directory. I've already logged into my web server, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my install directory now. There we go. Let's take a look at the files inside of that directory. We have 3 directories and a number of text files. The directories that are most important for us in the install process is install and then the RPC directory. Let's go ahead and go into install and take a look at that. So there's a number of SQL scripts in the install directory. The one that's important for us is rpc-mysql.sql. This will allow us, or will make possible, the creation of a MySQL database that works for the assignment calculator. So having said that, let's go ahead and log into MySQL and go ahead and create that database. So again, you'll need to have MySQL database creation privileges on your MySQL database server. So here I am, I'm in MySQL now, and I'm going to go ahead and create a database called acalc. You can call the database whatever you want, but I'm going to try to keep mine short and sweet. So let's create database acalc. Okay, the database has been created. And now, since we're in the install directory back on the web server, I'm going to go ahead and use MySQL to bring up that MySQL SQL script and create the database. So let's go ahead and run the commands for that. Oh, sorry. First I need to use the acalc database. Sorry about that. And I'm going to go ahead and now source it now. So the database has been created. If we go ahead and show the tables for that database, there they all are. So the houses the assignments and the steps and the users of your system. So now we can exit MySQL. We've created our database. And now, after creating a database, we need to move the RPC directory to a new location, preferably one where you want people to access your version of the calculator. This will make the URL possible. I'm going to move the RPC directory up a directory and rename it calculator. That way the URL for my assignment calculator will be vader.lib.umn.edu/calculator, and we'll take a look at that after I've finished installing all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and move my RPC up directory to a directory called calculator, like so. Oh, first I need to find the RPC directory. I apologize for that. I'll run that command again. And no news is good news. It moved it up into that location. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the calculator. Actually, let's get a clean slate here. So here's the files for the assignment calculator. Now there's a number of things we need to do with these files. First of all, there's a hidden file inside of this directory called htaccess, and we need to change the rewrite rules for the calculator using the htaccess files, the URL rewrite rules. This will make the URLs more friendly for the users. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the htaccess file. Let's type that correctly. Here is the htaccess file. You can see, and we're going to look for the line rewrite base, and we need to change that to the directory for our calculator. So I'm going to change that to say calculator. Simple enough. I'm going to go ahead and write that file back out and then exit again. So that step is done. Now we need to make sure that our calculator can write to the web server. There are certain times that the code needs to be able to write to the files on the server. This means we have to give the Apache user write access to a file or a directory called tmpl compile file, the compile file specifically. So in Ubuntu Linux, the Apache web server user that can write to the server is called www-data. So we will type from the command line here, we will type in let's see, PC TMPL. I'm changing the owner for this file right here to the www-data user, and I need to hold on a second. Okay, now we've changed the owner of that compile file to www.data, and now we also need to what's called schmod it, which will give the www.data user read, write, and execute permissions to that file. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. All right, so that is now done. Now we need to change the configuration file for the tool. The config file is located in the INC or the INC directory and is called example_config.inc.php. So let's go ahead and look for that. Here you can see it right here, example config.inc.php. So let's go ahead and go into that file. That config file has some important database connectivity and URL and directory pathing information that must be changed in order for our install to work. So I'm going to go ahead and go into it first. And we're going to begin changing the parameters in this file. So if you'll recall, we named our database acalc, so this is one line that we need to change. We also, or I created the database using my username, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And there was a password that I also put in, which I will enter here. We also, and this is really important, we need to put in a super user. What will happen then is the person that logs in as the super user will be given access to create templates and have administration role over this assignment calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my email address. We're going to use the native authentication. We can keep this one the same since the PHP session isn't usually seen by the user. Let's see. We do need to change this. The HTTP host is what the name of your server is. So my server is vader.lib.umn.edu. And the path to the relative web path to the application is again what you named that directory where you moved your assignment calculator to. Otherwise, it looks like this is going good. We'll probably need to change this as well. Here we go. To signify that directory name again. Let's see. Let's rename our version to assignment calculator. And anything that comes from the assignment calculator in terms of email reminders to students that use it will have a return address of, in this case, my email address, but you can put in reference desk email address or someone else that you want to be able to answer those questions. And from the name of the sender, it will be me. Let's see. We'll keep these configurations the same. And that is it for the configuration file. Now you'll recall, or you'll see that the configuration file is still named example_config.inc.php. We need to rename that, so I'm going to rename it right now. I'm going to rename example to just config.inc.php. So the next thing we need to do is point the assignment calculator code that we have to our PHP Smarty templating engine. So again, the open source version of our calculator also uses the open source templating engine called PHP Smarty. Using PHP Smarty helps separate HTML from PHP code and eases the process of web page design. We need to tell our install where it can find the PHP Smarty templating engine, and we can do this by changing another configuration file within the INC or INC directory, and this file is called rpc_smarty.inc.php. So I'm going to go ahead and modify that one. And now I'm looking for a line that says where we can get the Smarty templating engine. And it's right here. And I'm going to change this to give the complete path to find Smarty. So there it is. Alright, finally the last step would be that we would enter a cron job to run at regular intervals to send out any email reminders that may need to be sent out, that a student maybe has saved assignment and they have an email reminder set up for it. We're not going to do that step today, but having access to create a cron job is important. But for now, we can go ahead and take a look at what our assignment calculator looks like on our web server. So I'm going to go to our assignment calculator, and we have a problem. Actually, it does not look quite like it should. It looks kind of like a web page from 1995, actually. So let's go ahead and try to figure out what that problem is. Typically, you'll see this, and it probably is a problem in the config file. So actually, we're already in the include directory, and if we look at the files there, we can see that the config file is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and go in and try to edit it and see what our problem is. And it looks like it's a problem with the cascading style sheets. So let's go down and let's just see what path we put in. Oh, look at that. We misspelled calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that, and I think that's the correct spelling now. And once we save that and go back now to the assignment calculator and click reload,
Yay,
it looks like what we want it to. That's nice. And if you recall, before I had said that it's important to set up a super user for your assignment calculator. So now let's go ahead and create a super user account. Let's see here. And I'm going to say I'm a teacher. I'm going to create a password set, create the account, and lo and behold, because I put in the super user email address, I am now an administrator of the system. The administration menu option pops up there. So if we go back over here, we can now create a blank assignment and actually make it into an assignment template that everyone then can see on subsequent visits. So in a nutshell, that is how you create or install the assignment calculator. I hope that wasn't too difficult. And to recap for that, let's go back over to our slides here. To recap, what you'll need to install a version of the assignment calculator is access to a web server with PHP 5.1.2 or later, MySQL 5.0 database, the ability to run cron jobs, and we didn't set up a cron job for our install today, but that is very important to do. The ability to send mail from PHP using the mail function, which again would send out those email reminders that a student might set up, and then access to the PHP Smarty 3 templating engine scripts that you might have on your server.
All right, so what if you don't have these things? This is a lot, Shane. And if you don't have Shane on hand, and if you don't have write access, and you don't have time to learn the back end and all this stuff, what do? Well, we can help you. Shane and I want to make this tool as widely available as possible, and so here we are. Here's a picture. Wait, let me get it up. There we are. We can install the calculator for you and work with your teachers and your media specialists to customize the tool for your assignments with your own school's look and feel, with your steps and your own time frames and your own directions. And most schools can easily afford this. So here you see how you can contact us.
Yeah, and the assignment calculator, as I hope you have seen, is a great tool, and we hope you can use it, either by installing it on your own or having us do it for you.
Yeah, so thanks for watching this, and if you can think of a friend or a colleague at another school who might want to know about this tool, please feel free to forward this video to them. So thanks, and hopefully we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.